What happens when a pop icon who's been silenced for years finally decides she's done holding back? On live television, across the table from one of the most powerful voices in daytime TV. What happens when Britney Spears walks onto The View carrying more than just a smile, more than just a comeback story, but a truth that's been burning in her chest for over a decade? Before we dive into this moment that stunned the studio and sent shockwaves across the internet, make sure you subscribe to Prime Talk, hit that like button, and comment right now because this story explodes in ways no one saw coming. The studio lights are bright, almost blinding, the kind of brightness that exposes everything, every smile, every pause, every breath that comes just a second too late. The View audience is buzzing, that low hum of anticipation that only happens when people feel something big is about to unfold, even if they can't explain why. Britney Spears steps out, and for a brief moment, the applause is thunderous. People stand. Some cheer. Some cry. This isn't just a guest appearance. This is survival walking onto a stage. Britney's smile is polished, but her eyes tell a different story. There's a tightness there, a flicker of caution, like someone who's learned the hard way that friendly rooms can turn cold without warning. She takes her seat, smoothing her jacket, nodding politely as Whoopi Goldberg introduces her. Whoopi's voice is warm, confident, controlled, decades of television authority wrapped in calm humor. "Britney, it's good to see you," Whoopi says, leaning back slightly, hands folded. "A lot of people are rooting for you." Britney nods. "Thank you. That means a lot." Her voice is soft, but steady. Too steady. The kind of steadiness that feels rehearsed, like she's bracing for impact. At first, it feels safe. They talk about music, about fans, about healing. The audience laughs in the right places. Cameras glide smoothly. But beneath the surface, there's tension, invisible yet heavy, like pressure building behind a wall. And then Whoopi shifts the conversation. "You've been very open lately," Whoopi says, her tone thoughtful. "Some people feel your social media posts are intense. They wonder if sharing so much is healthy." The room subtly changes. Britney blinks. Once. Twice. That flicker in her eyes sharpens. "I think," Britney begins carefully, "after not being allowed to speak for so long, silence feels a lot more dangerous than honesty." A murmur ripples through the audience. Whoopi raises an eyebrow, not unkindly, but firmly. "But do you think there's a line between honesty and harm?" There it is. The line. The same line Britney has heard her entire life, drawn by people who claimed to know what was best for her. Her fingers tighten on the arm of her chair. "For years," Britney says slowly, "people talked about me like I wasn't in the room. Like I wasn't a person. Doctors, lawyers, even hosts on TV." She glances around, not accusatory, just factual. "So when people say I'm too much now, I hear control, not concern." The audience grows quiet. Uncomfortably quiet. Whoopi leans forward. "I'm not talking about control. I'm talking about protection." That word lands like a spark on gasoline. Britney exhales, a small, shaky breath. "Protection from who?" she asks. "From myself." A few gasps. Someone in the crowd whispers, "Oh my God." Whoopi's smile fades, replaced by seriousness. "Britney, no one wants to see you hurt again." Britney nods, but her eyes glisten now. "I was hurt while everyone said they were protecting me." The cameras zoom in. This is no longer a friendly interview. This is something raw, something unfiltered. The kind of moment producers pray for and fear at the same time. "For 13 years, Britney continues, her voice gaining strength, "I wasn't allowed to choose my friends. My money. My body. And the hardest part." She pauses, swallowing hard. People applauded it. They joked about it. They debated it on shows like this. Whoopi shifts in her chair. "We talked about it because it mattered." "You talked about it." Britney fires back gently but sharply, without ever asking how it felt to live it. Silence. Thick. Heavy. The audience doesn't clap. They don't breathe. Britney's hands are shaking now, but she doesn't hide them. "Here's the bombshell," she says, her voice suddenly clear, unwavering. "The conservatorship didn't save my life. It nearly destroyed it. And the hardest truth." She looks directly at Whoopi. "It was upheld by public opinion, by voices people trusted." A collective inhale sweeps the studio. Whoopi opens her mouth, then closes it. For the first time, she looks genuinely unsettled. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying," Britney interrupts, not angry, just resolute. That power wrapped in kindness is still power. And I'm done being grateful for my own cage. The audience erupts. Some stand. Others sit frozen, stunned. Applause collides with shock, creating chaos. Producers scramble behind the scenes. This is not in the rundown. Whoopi finally speaks, her voice lower. Britney, that's a serious accusation. Britney nods. It's a serious truth. And in that moment, the dynamic shifts completely. This isn't Britney Spears the pop star. This is Britney Spears the survivor, staring down an institution that once helped frame her as fragile, unstable, manageable. The cameras keep rolling. The world is watching. And everyone can feel it. This is only the beginning. The applause fades, but the energy doesn't. It lingers in the air like static after a lightning strike. Britney sits back in her chair, chest rising and falling, as if she's just surfaced from deep water. Across from her, Whoopi Goldberg adjusts her glasses, buying time. The audience settles, but no one relaxes. Not now. Not after that. Whoopi clears her throat. Britney, she says carefully, choosing each word like it might detonate. No one here wants to dismiss what you went through. But public conversations are complicated. We're talking about systems, not personal attacks. Britney lets out a soft, almost incredulous laugh. That's the thing, she replies. When you're inside the system, it's never abstract. It's your mornings, your nights, your panic attacks that no one sees because they're too busy calling it structure. A woman in the audience wipes her eyes. Another shakes her head slowly, as if replaying old clips in her mind. Britney in 2007, Britney with an umbrella, Britney being laughed at. Whoopi leans forward now, elbows on the table. I've been in this business a long time, she says. I've seen what fame can do to people. Sometimes intervention is necessary. Britney meets her gaze. There's no fear in her eyes now. Just clarity. Intervention is asking someone what they need, she says. Not deciding it for them and calling it love. A murmur of approval ripples through the crowd. Sunny Hostin shifts in her seat, visibly tense, glancing between the two women. Joy Behar opens her mouth, then closes it, sensing this isn't her moment. The conversation has narrowed into a direct line. Britney and Whoopi, survivor and gatekeeper, truth and tradition. You know, Britney continues, her voice quieter but more dangerous. I watched this show while I was under conservatorship. I watched people debate whether I deserved my freedom like it was a panel question. She gestures vaguely toward the table. Like I wasn't someone's daughter. Someone's mother. Whoopi exhales. That wasn't our intention. I know, Britney says. But intention doesn't erase impact. That lands hard. Whoopi's jaw tightens. She nods slowly, as if acknowledging a point she doesn't like but can't ignore. So what do you want now? Whoopi asks. From the media. From people watching. Britney doesn't hesitate. I want accountability, she says. Not apologies. Accountability. She pauses. And I want people to stop acting like my silence back then was consent. The audience breaks into applause again, louder this time. This isn't shock anymore. This is recognition. Whoopi raises her hand slightly, signaling for quiet. But Britney, you understand that when someone appears unstable. Britney straightens instantly. Unstable according to who? Her voice sharpens. According to headlines, paparazzi photos, or doctors hired by people who controlled my money. A collective oof ripples through the room. Whoopi's face hardens, defensive now. That's not fair. Britney nods. That's exactly what I was told for 13 years. For a moment, it feels like time slows. The studio lights hum. The camera lingers too long on Whoopi's face, catching something rare, uncertainty. Let me ask you something, Britney says, leaning forward, elbows on her knees. If a man worked non-stop from the time he was a child, supported his entire family, broke down under pressure, would we have locked him into a legal prison? Or would we have called it burnout? The audience erupts. People stand, clapping, cheering, shouting yes. And that's right. Whoopi tries to respond, but the noise drowns her out. She waits, jaw clenched, then finally speaks. Britney, I hear you. But I don't agree that the media alone is responsible. I never said alone, Britney replies. I said complicit. That word hangs heavy. Sunny finally steps in. Do you feel, she asks gently, that shows like this owe you something? Britney looks at her, softening slightly. I think the public deserves honesty, she says. And honesty means admitting when we got it wrong. Whoopi looks down at the table. For the first time, she doesn't immediately fire back. I don't want sympathy, Britney adds. I want the narrative to stop treating survivors like liabilities. The producer's voice crackles faintly in Whoopi's earpiece. Time. Wrap it up. Move on. But Whoopi doesn't move on. Not yet. You're asking us, Whoopi says slowly, to rethink how we talk about power. Britney nods. I'm asking you to listen to people who lived under it. Another pause. This one feels different. Less combative. More reflective. Whoopi finally looks up. Then let me say this, she says, measured. If our conversations caused you harm, that matters. It's not an apology. Not quite. But it's something. Britney studies her face, then nods once. That's a start. The audience applauds again, softer now, almost reverent. They know they are witnessing something rare, not a meltdown, not a viral soundbite, but a reckoning happening in real time. But beneath the cam, something still simmers. Because outside this studio, millions are watching. Clips are already being cut. Tweets drafted. Sides chosen. And everyone can feel it. This conversation isn't ending when the cameras stop. It's just moving to a much bigger stage. The commercial break ends, and when the cameras come back on, the energy in the room has shifted again. It's heavier now, more fragile. This isn't confrontation anymore. This is exposure. Britney sits straighter, as if she's decided there's no turning back. Whatever she walked in carrying, she's already set it on the table. There's no packing it up neatly now. Whoopi offers a small nod, professional but subdued. We're back, she says, addressing the audience and the millions watching at home. And we're continuing this conversation. Britney exhales through her nose, steadying herself. Her hands are calm now. That nervous shaking from earlier is gone, replaced by something firmer. Resolve. You know what's strange? Britney says before anyone asks a question. People think freedom is loud. That when you get it back, you celebrate, you party, you smile all the time. She pauses. Freedom is actually very quiet. It's realizing how much of your life you lost. The audience listens in silence. No clapping. No murmurs. Just attention. For a long time, she continues, I blamed myself. I thought, if I'd just behaved better, if I'd smiled more, if I'd been easier to manage. Her voice cracks slightly, but she doesn't stop. And that's when it hit me. That mindset. That's what control does. It makes you believe your pain is your fault. Whoopi watches her closely now, arms folded, no interruption. I was told I was sick, Britney says. But no one ever asked what it does to a person to have their phone taken away, to need permission to drive, to be watched while changing clothes. She swallows hard. That kind of thing rewires you. A man in the front row shakes his head, stunned. Someone else presses a hand to their mouth. Sunny's eyes are glassy. Joy stares at the table. Even the crew behind the cameras seems frozen. And while all of that was happening, Britney adds, her tone sharpening again, there were jokes. Punchlines. Crazy Britney. Unstable. She needs supervision. She lifts her chin. Do you know how many times I heard those exact words echoed back to me in court? Whoopi's lips part slightly, then close. For once, she doesn't defend. She listens. Britney turns toward her, not aggressively, but deliberately. I don't think you meant harm, she says. But intention doesn't protect the person being talked about. Power does. Whoopi sighs, long and slow. I won't pretend this is easy to hear, she admits. We're used to analyzing stories from the outside. That's the problem, Britney replies. Some stories shouldn't be analyzed. They should be believed. The audience breaks into applause, restrained but heartfelt. Whoopi nods. Fair. For a moment, it seems like the storm has passed. But then Whoopi asks the question that pulls the tension tight again. Do you worry, she says, that by speaking this openly, you're reopening wounds? That you're hurting yourself? Britney doesn't flinch. No, she says immediately. What hurt me was being quiet. She pauses. Silence is what almost killed me. That lands like a blow. You know, Britney continues, there were nights I lay in bed thinking, if I disappear, would anyone notice? Or would they just write another headline explaining why it was necessary? Gasps ripple through the audience. Someone audibly sobs. But then, Britney says, her voice softening, I started hearing from fans. Women, men, parents, people who said, I didn't have your money, but I had your cage. Her eyes shine now, That's when I realized this wasn't just my story anymore. Sunny leans in. So this is bigger than you. Britney nods. Much bigger. Whoopi rubs her temple, processing. You're saying the way we talk about mental health is conditional, Britney finishes. We support it as long as it's convenient. As long as it doesn't threaten control. The room goes quiet again. This silence isn't awkward. It's heavy with thought. Whoopi finally speaks, slower now. I've fought systems my whole life, she says. Racism, sexism, abuse of power. She looks directly at Britney. And maybe I didn't recognize this one clearly enough. That admission sends a ripple through the crowd. It's subtle, but it's real. Britney nods once, acknowledging it. I don't need you to agree with everything I say, she replies. I just need you to understand that I'm not a cautionary tale. I'm a warning. About what? Whoopi asks. About what happens when we confuse control for care, Britney says. When we decide someone's humanity is negotiable. The applause this time is loud and sustained. People stand again, not out of shock, but out of respect. The producer signals they are running out of time. Whoopi sees it, then looks back at Britney. There's going to be backlash, Whoopi says quietly. You know that. Britney smiles, small but unafraid. I've lived through worse. As the segment winds down, the cameras pull back, but the moment doesn't shrink. If anything, it expands. Because outside this studio, phones are buzzing. Clips are spreading. Comment sections are igniting. And somewhere between admiration and outrage, a cultural line has been crossed. Britney sits back as the applause continues, not basking in it, but breathing through it. She knows this isn't closure. It's ignition. Because when truth is spoken this clearly, it doesn't fade after the broadcast ends. It follows you home. When the cameras finally stop rolling, the applause doesn't end right away. It lingers, uneven and emotional, as if the audience isn't sure whether to celebrate or recover. Britney stands, offering a small wave, her smile restrained, almost fragile. This wasn't a victory lap. This was a release. As she walks off stage, a producer gently touches her arm, whispering something she doesn't hear. Or maybe she hears it and chooses not to respond. Her focus is elsewhere, on the quiet thudding of her own heartbeat, on the weight finally lifting from her chest. Behind the table, Whoopi Goldberg remains seated for a moment longer than usual. She exhales, long and heavy, staring straight ahead. This wasn't how the segment was supposed to go. This wasn't a safe conversation wrapped in polite disagreement. This was a mirror held up in front of daytime television itself. Backstage, staff members exchange looks. Some nod in admiration. Others look rattled. No one is neutral. Within minutes, phones begin to light up. A clip of Britney saying, "I'm done being grateful for my own cage," hits social media like a shockwave. It spreads faster than anyone can track. Instagram Reels, X Threads, TikTok Stitches, YouTube Shorts. Captions appear instantly. She said what needed to be said. Whoopi didn't know how to respond. This wasn't an interview. It was a reckoning. Entertainment blogs scramble to publish recaps, each headline louder than the last. Some praise Britney for her courage. Others question her tone, her timing, her stability. The same cycle threatens to repeat itself, until something unexpected happens. People push back. Fans flood comment sections with personal stories. Former patients. Survivors of controlling relationships. Adults who were once labeled too much or too broken to trust with their own lives. They quote Britney's words like lifelines. "Silence is what almost killed me." The phrase trends by nightfall. On television that evening, panel shows replay the moment again and again. Analysts pause the footage, studying Whoopi's expression frame by frame. Was she defensive? Was she listening? Was this an apology in progress or a misstep caught live? Whoopi herself releases a brief statement the next morning. It's careful, thoughtful, acknowledging the pain behind Britney's words. Promising reflection. Not everyone is satisfied, but many notice something rare. She doesn't dismiss it. Britney, meanwhile, doesn't post immediately. No celebratory message. No dramatic follow-up. When she finally breaks her silence hours later, it's simple. I spoke my truth. Thank you to everyone who listened. That's it. And somehow, that restraint says more than any viral rant ever could. In the days that follow, the conversation grows. Mental health advocates dissect the conservatorship system. Legal experts debate how easily power can be abused when fame and money are involved. Media critics turn the lens inward, asking uncomfortable questions about how often entertainment disguises control as concern. And at the center of it all is Britney Spears, not as a spectacle, not as a headline, but as a voice that refused to soften itself for comfort. Viewers who once laughed uncomfortably at old jokes now watch those clips with new eyes. The humor feels different. Heavier. Wrong. The past hasn't changed, but understanding of it has. And Whoopi Goldberg. She addresses the moment again on air days later, slower, more reflective. She talks about listening, about learning, about the responsibility that comes with a platform. It's not perfect. It doesn't erase anything, but it moves the conversation forward instead of shutting it down. That's the real aftermath, not outrage, not cancellation, but accountability pressing against long-standing habits. As for Britney, she continues on her own terms. No press tour. No defensive explanations. Just boundaries. Just clarity. The woman who once wasn't allowed to choose her own lunch now chooses her words carefully and powerfully. And maybe that's what makes this moment so unsettling to some and so liberating to others. Because it wasn't a meltdown. It wasn't chaos. It was control returning to its rightful owner. So now it's your turn. Did Britney Spears cross a line? Or did she finally expose one that should have never existed? Was this an uncomfortable truth the media needed to hear, or a confrontation that went too far? Drop your opinion in the comments. Let your voice be part of the conversation. And if you want more cinematic, explosive, and emotionally charged stories like this, make sure you subscribe to Prime Talk right now. Hit the like button, share this video, and stay with us, because the stories that matter most are the ones that refuse to stay quiet.